Hey everybody, SmallgGay. Captain America. I have an image of the Steranko Captain America. I decided to be a little different. Rather than the obvious Jack Kirby Captain America, I think that Steranko's Captain America is actually a very, very interesting interpretation of the character. And ironically, especially with the Hydra, see Hydra? Ironically, with the Hydra element in the new movie Captain America, as opposed to the Nazis, I thought a lot about the Steranko version while I was watching the movie. I give the movie a B rating. I thought overall it was quite good. I was happily surprised. There were parts of it that I thought were very effective. I really like the way they're adding depth to the Marvel Universe, which is great. There's so much retcon going on, it's a little distracting. I was wondering how they were going to go about doing the Howling Commandos with no Nick Fury, because in this version, Nick Fury is living now, and he is a black man. There was a little bit of political correctness. The Howling Commandos reminded me of Hogans Heroes, which I guess they kind of did in the comics. I don't like it. I don't like that kind of political correctness, and ironically, I find it very racist because, and of course, in real life, African American troops had to fight in segregated battalions in World War II, and an Asian American would have been, in an internment camp, unless they were some highly specialized person. So, ironically, with political correctness and multiculturalism, it's more important in the now that everyone get along and be all friends, all the races, all the good guys love all the races. That the depiction of history is whitewashed, so to speak, and there's no reason for any kind of civil rights movement because everything was always just fine and dandy. The New York Post business that I tweeted about last week. There was a piece in the New York Post about how the film was soft on Nazis. I did think the film was soft on Nazis, and I did think that they were trying to appeal to the German market, without a doubt, and the European market, and the Norwegian market. It gets into none of the horrors of World War II, none of the horrors of the Nazis. Indeed, we don't even see the Nazis kill anyone. We see 3 Nazis mercilessly killed by the Red Skull, and I guess we're supposed to feel bad. And I don't know. I was looking at my old Captain America, not my old comics. I have this beautiful omnibus edition. The Red Skull was not with Hydra. The Red Skull was a Nazi, and he was Hitler's right-hand man. And he wore a swastika on his chest. And then when he was updated, he kind of had an ascot. He kind of dressed in a green kind of jumpsuit, kind of like a Marlon Perkins from Mutual of Omaha's Wild Kingdom, kind of an adventure, 60s adventurer ensemble. Yeah, so they took the Nazi out of Red Skull. On the other hand, it's a new day. I know that Marvel's doing this on their animated shows. I don't read their comics. And I think that they were kind of trying to simplify the continuity by establishing Hydra, which will be the bad guys in the Avengers continuity as well. Hydra is like Marvel's Spectre. It really came to fore when Nick Fury was revived in the 1960s, when he went from being Sergeant Fury to Nick Fury, Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D., and Hydra was the evil global espionage terrorist organization led by Madam Hydra, or Viper, which is fabulous. They actually had a female leader, one of the leaders. And Steranko added a real kind of psychedelic element to Captain America that was very 60s. I was looking at those old 60s Captain Americas before I did this vlog, and I was reminded Captain America really went through it. I mean, he really had a real soap opera going on. In the 40s Captain America, you know, my brother loves those. I think they're really simple-minded. I love the covers because they're so lurid, but the storylines I just find really simple. And I love the lurid covers. I love it when he's punching out Hitler and all that stuff. It's great. More on that in a second with the movie. But the 60s Captain America is where he really took on some serious gravitas. That's when Stan Lee took over writing the comic. And he became a man out of time, and he also became a reflection of where does the spirit of America go during the psychedelic 60s. He was clearly against the Red Chinese. The communists are a villain in the Captain America in the 1960s. It's Cold War, and he's definitely a patriot, but there's a lot of, he has a lot to undermine him. He's always grieving over Bucky, and then they bring in Rick Jones, who dresses up like Bucky, which is very odd, kind of like Vertigo. And Rick Jones plays his companion. He's in love with Sharon Carter, who is the daughter of Peggy Carter, who looks exactly like Peggy Carter, which is kind of interesting how they'll do that in the movie. If she'll return as Sharon Carter, Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. So there's a lot to work with that character. It's surprisingly rich. And when I was watching this version, by the way, I think this is the best version they've ever done on film of Captain America. I was really realizing how much of that drama had never really been dramatized before. I remember the 70s version. Remember the 70s version with Reb Brown? I remember it vividly because he was this big steroid creature in spandex running around, and I was like going through puberty. I don't remember much beyond that except he rode around on a motorcycle, and I think he had a hang glider. And the character bore no relation to the comic book whatsoever, except for the costume and the name. And, you know, there's been other versions, but I think this one is the best one as far as touching on some of those elements. And we see it at the end. I'm not going to give it away. But there's going to be some real conflict coming up, which I think is great. And it makes it more interesting, and it makes the whole thing feel more like Marvel Comics, which I like. Now for the negative thing about the Nazis. I thought it was soft-souled. I thought that the whole element of having him be Captain America and doing the USO thing was almost like a parody of Fox News. They had to make the Captain America fighting Hitler be propaganda, and it was mocked. It was done by powerful senators in Washington, and it was implied that this was a show for the rubes, a patriotic show for the rubes, something fake, and it was doled out as it was portrayed as propaganda. That these are comic books that were generated to support the war effort, like they didn't need to support the war effort on their own, and that element of it I thought was critical of the United States, and in a way that it didn't have to be. They were a little embarrassed about the patriotism of it. I mean, there was also an element of homophobia in it, and that they had to keep trying to figure out how to get him in this outfit. And I thought too much time was spent on explaining his costume and him being embarrassed by his costume and all that kind of thing. I don't know why they fuss over that sort of thing so much. You know, I mean, just introduce the new costume and let that be the costume. Whatever. It seemed like they were trying to make such a small deal about the costume that it became like a third of the movie. It became a third of the movie. I thought that the origin story was incredibly well done. I thought it was really well done. I thought the first third of the movie was excellent. It kind of lost me a little bit in the middle. I did have some issues with the fact that it seemed like we were not at war with the Nazis at all. I mean, there were a few references to Hitler, but it seemed like World War II was fought against Hydra. Didn't it? Like the last third of the movie, it's just them versus Hydra, with the U.S. Fighting little Hydra symbols all over the place. You know me, I love the connections with Thor. I don't know. I mean, I liked it. Obviously, I'm not knocked out by it. But I did enjoy it overall. I thought it was a huge improvement over X-Men First Class. And there is one bit of business that really knocked my socks off that I thought was terrific. I would have liked it to have been more patriotic. I didn't think it was patriotic enough. There was no moment where I felt that Captain America was inspired by America or that he represented America. That entire element of Captain America was mocked in the movie, which I did not appreciate. I thought it could have been much stronger in that regard. Like I said, I was kind of in between. But there was one bit of business at the end where Red Skull is basically advocating a new world without flags, and he does not like that at all. Captain America does not like that at all. And when his response to that had me audibly saying yes. So there you have it, people. At this point, you're going to go see it anyway. Wait till the end. I don't like the Black Widow's hairstyle. What is with Scarlett Johansson? I'm not giving away anything. I'm talking about the next Avengers movie. I'm not giving away anything about this movie. I saw the promotion for it. Why does she have a 40s bob? She should have long, fabulous swinger hair. She should have Anne Margaret hair. What is the deal? Why aren't they getting any of the girls right? And I'm really getting tired of these retro women, these like 1950s and 1960s era Marvel women. When do we get to She-Hulk and Ms. Marvel? I want some women who are really going to do some serious pounding action here. What's going on, Marvel? Get these characters up to date. SmallgGay signing out.